Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of July. I hope you are. Using the Llewellyn Tarot for you today. So let's have 3 cards for Cancer, please. Here we are. It's the first one. It's the 9 of Wands in your recent past. In your present energy for Cancer. We have the 5 of Swords. That's interesting. And what's coming towards Cancer in July? We have the 3 of Swords. Now, I don't want you to be concerned about that, because in the Llewellyn, particularly in the Llewellyn, this one has an aged historic quality to it, right? It's not about fresh pain occurring now. It seems very much, ooh, look at that. It's the Chariot card that's flipped inside the deck there. Ooh. I feel like you're gunning up for some rather spectacular release, actually. We've got the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck there. The Ace of Wands, like all the aces, contains the potentiality of whatever suit it represents. So in this case it is the Wands, and in the Ace of Wands we're looking at, you know, almost like a reignition of passion for your life, right? It's about living differently, living consciously, actually. And with the cards that I'm seeing here on the table, it feels like it's kind of building towards something. In so much as you are releasing something and welcoming new things in. That's the Ace of Pentacles at the top of the deck there. Oh, and the Sun at the bottom. That's rather lovely. I'm going to give these a shuffle. There's the Magician as I cut the deck. Let's have a look at the 9 of Wands, please. Thank you. We have the Death card. Ooh. Away. Behave. 9 of Wands for Cancer. Thank you. Ooh. 4 of Cups in reverse. Tell me about the 5 of Swords, please. Thank you. We have the 7 of Wands in reverse. Oh, I'm liking this. We have here, we have the Justice in the upright, and we have the 9 of Pentacles in the upright too. This is magnificent, Cancer. I mean, I'll get to why in a second, but although the main cards across the top look like they're kind of negative, they could be interpreted as bleak. My instant reaction when I saw them was not that. It felt like something was kind of trying to come up from in here, right, so that it could just go and be gone. And the cards that I'm seeing that are coming out as in the clarifiers are absolutely bearing that out. Tell me about the 3 of Swords, please. We have the 3 of Pentacles. We've got the Ace of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles there have flipped, and I also want to just show you that the Ace of Wands flipped in this deck as well. I might shuffle all these in. Tell me about the 3 of Swords, please. Thank you. Ooh. The Sun. It's back out again. Cancer. Oh my God. Ace of Cups. I've got goosebumps. This is amazing. It's followed by the Page of Pentacles as well. Right. I wish I could show you, like, all the hairs on my arms standing up on end. Oh, just give me a second. So. This month feels like a purge for you, Cancer, a huge purge. And there may be points in it where the energy feels a little bit challenging, but not nearly as much as one would expect for the sort of things that are trying to come up here. It feels like a massive burp. It's kind of like working its way up so it can just come out, and the relief afterwards will be palpable, right? So it's kind of one of those situations where, you know, you've got something stuck there. It's got to come out, and it's uncomfortable, and the process of it coming out is uncomfortable too. But you don't really have a choice. You can't really stop it. It's like this has got to shift. It's got to go. You know. Now, in your recent past, we have the 9 of Wands, and this simultaneously means both boundaries, refers to boundaries, and that's very much on point for what I'm feeling here. But it also talks about about having the energy to really get stuck into the deep things, into the things that really do require your attention in terms of your own spiritual growth, for sure, but your growth generally, just as a person, you know. I can't begin to tell you how profound the cards on the table feel for you, for me, right now. I just keep, my eyes keep coming back to this Ace of Cups. It's absolutely glorious. Actually, fuck it, let's start here, right? So you have aces, 2 aces, different decks. The Ace of Wands, like I said, it's the ability to live differently, right? It's consciously choosing what kind of life you are going to have for yourself, and then engaging with it properly, like really engaging with it. And the Ace of Cups is, it can be about new love, but I don't feel that coming in for you, particularly Cancer, because I think the last thing that you need at the moment while you are undergoing this process is another person kind of coming in and muddying the waters, right? Because for Cancer, it does often muddy the waters, and particularly when you're trying to do your own self-work. I mean, really profound self-work is very, very difficult to do when you are in a relationship. Unless you have, you know, an incredibly spectacular partner. Otherwise, it's just like the day-to-day stuff and, you know, their emotions and their reactions and stuff. It clouds the issue, you know? So I feel that this Ace of Cups is referring specifically to you and what is going on within you at the moment. And what is going on within you is this incredible revolution, almost, I would say. So rather than being new love, this Ace of Cups then comes to mean renewal of love for yourself, right? Filling your own cup first, doing everything for you first, and then what you have left over, if you choose to do so, you can give to other people, right? But yourself first. And this is important because it's actually hard. It's a very easy thing to say, but the practice of it is very, very difficult. Particularly if you've had years of conditioning to do things a different way, which is, for a lot of you Cancers, exactly what has happened. Now, we've got these 2 cards here, and this is incredible, right? The Death card here talks about that transformation. It talks about a complete revision of the way that you do things. It can indicate endings, but inherent within the ending is a new beginning, because what the Death card is doing is it's clearing out this old way of doing things, old reactions, old emotional responses to things. It's a clearing out of your character altogether, actually, Cancer, and it feels like a return to something that you were supposed to be before the conditioning told you that you had to put everybody else first and you had to turn yourself out inside out for other people first, you know? And I love the fact that the 4 of Cups has come out in the reverse, because the codependency for which Cancer is renowned, which is a learned response, right? It doesn't come out. I was actually having this conversation with my partner the other day, and I was talking about the shadow and the formulation of the shadow, and it actually came off the back of me watching a video by somebody I hugely respect, who started doing a series on the dark sides of the signs, and I felt like he'd kind of missed a lot of stuff, right? And so it ended up being a bit of a character assassination of the particular sign that I was watching, and I was like, oh, I don't think that this is quite accurate, because it was basically, you know, like the shadow side of this sign is, you know, they're bastards basically, and they're incredibly destructive and all this sort of thing. I'm like, yeah, but why? That's the important thing. Like, we all know people who behave like that, but why are they like that? This is where the compassionate approach comes in, you know? And so for Cancer, a huge part of that is that codependence that is instilled in them at an early age. Like I said to my partner, signs aren't born with shadows, right? They don't come in with a big shadowy mess. Like, those shadows are created in the environment that they live in. So yes, this sign may behave like that, but why did they get like that? And is it not right that we extend compassion to these signs and kind of try and understand better how they got that way so that we can help them unravel it again? Rather than just sort of, you know, writing them off. And for you, it's this conditioning has led to a crippling fear of rejection, right? So I've said before, like, I don't think I've come across a Cancer yet that I've done a personal reading for that didn't have a narcissistic mother somewhere. I mean, that shit's really fucking damaging, right? And so when you are taught that you need to work really, really hard for the affection of someone who should just give it to you by dint of your very existence, it creates a particular type of mindset. And this is the approach that you then go out into the world. You know, and anybody that you meet who is important to you, this is the pattern of behavior that you will fall into, because it's what you've learned, it's what it is, right? So this is this crippling fear of rejection right here. This is not. This is gratitude for a lot of things, yes, but it's taking that feeling that you need to work for the reward of, you know, any kind of affection, emotional attention, anything like that, right? And going, no, I feed it to myself first. Self first, everybody else later, if they deserve it, and if they don't, well, they can go and whistle, right? The revolution and transformation that is going on within you, Cancer, isn't done yet. I mean, that's what I'm seeing from the cards here. It's not done yet, but my God, this looks like the final approach, right? There's a big push, and whether this is off the back of some sort of catalyzing event at the hands of somebody else, or whether it is just that you've put all of this stuff together and now you are seeing the world slightly differently, it's helping you move away from this being a defining feature of your emotional existence, right? I think the Cancer desire to be of service is beautiful, and it is emotionally evolved, but it gets tainted and warped by early experiences of other people who should know better and take advantage of it. You know, they shape it into being something that is very difficult to live with sometimes, you know? So boundaries for sure here. Absolutely boundaries for sure. But also, I feel a sense that you know you're on the right path now, Cancer. Because a lot of this stuff will have felt very counterintuitive to you, like I said, because of the conditioning, right? And you're like, how the fuck do I do this? I don't understand how to be different, how to live differently, how to emote differently. Like, this is just who I am, you know? But little by little, you've been making little changes, small adjustments here and there. And what's actually happened is that you are noticing the shift in you. You are becoming aware of how you are starting to feel differently about things. And right, oh, happy birthday, actually, for, you know, you Cancers who are watching. Your season is all I feel. You know, it's about I feel. What do you feel right now, Cancer? What have you been feeling? I think that you've been feeling the shift. I think that you've caught a whiff of something, and you know that the smell is getting stronger as you get closer to it. I think that this month is all about bringing you absolutely to the heart of what may have limited you, certainly, and restricted you from fully embracing, you know, pure joy. But there's certainly the implication here that things are kind of coming to this like shrieking crescendo. And on the other side of it, there's going to be contentment. There's going to be a great deal of personal peace. And so I think that you're going with it. Like, you may not feel like you necessarily have a choice. You know, your soul might be doing a lot of the work for you here. Subconscious has been doing the heavy lifting for a long time, but as you become aware of those processes, so they naturally change. And now we're at the point where you're looking to eradicate them all together. Now we've got this Five of Swords here, and there are a couple of different ways that we can look at it. I mean, my default with this is cognitive loops, right? Where we get stuck in that pattern, particularly as a trauma response, right? Where, you know, the amount of unresolved wounds within us are, you know, overwhelming, and they're sitting there at all times, and they just get triggered to shit by everything, right? So behavior of a partner, something like that, you know, who has certainly in your past behaved badly, you know, and this may well be partners that you are not with anymore, right? Because you've kind of moved away from those, but the unresolved wounding is still sitting in there, because it's a repetition of a pattern, right? So you get triggered, and then you do things that you regret, and then you feel really, really bad about it, and then you work harder to try and make up for it. You know, it's like always swinging from one side to the other and not ever quite finding your center. And this is the thought processes that are behind it. And actually now, as I'm sat with this and I'm looking at the other cards here, I feel like that's the interpretation. I'm not even going to bother with the other one because it doesn't seem relevant. It's about this. There's an aspect here of you observing your mind at work, Cancer. Now that's the aim of meditation, right? Anybody who tells you it's to stop thinking doesn't know what they're talking about. You can't stop your mind thinking. It's what it's designed to do. What you can do is come to a place of conscious presence, where you can observe what your mind is doing, because you are not your mind, you're not your thoughts. And you can maybe see the ways in which you've been tripping yourself up over and over again. And like, wow, I feel like an intellectual curiosity about the way that your own mind works. Now, this is really important, because what this is indicating is that you are going from a reactive creature to a proactive creature, right? So instead of being triggered all the time by little things that cut you absolutely to the quick, what you're doing is you're noticing that you're reacting to these things, and you're like, what's that about? Why is that happening? Why am I doing that? And likely you can track it back, you know, to another time that you felt like that, and the time before that you felt like that. And you keep going backwards, and before you know it, you end up either at a singular event in your childhood or a pattern of behavior from your childhood, right? Let's say narcissistic mothers or something like that, right? But I like the fact that that card is there, because it shows me that you are actively thinking about it. You're not just reacting to things right, left and center. You are actively thinking about it. And we see it borne out here, because we've got the Seven of Wands and it turned up in the reverse. Now, in the upright, it talks about being a very defensive, guarded energy. It is that reaction. It is feeling like you are constantly under fucking attack by everyone and their mum, you know, all the time. You're not. It's touching that old unresolved wound, and this is something that you are incredibly aware of now, I think. And little by little, you are not responding in the same way, right? The behavior is changing as you see it. Like, you can't really unsee it when you see it in yourself. You're like, oh, holy shit! Well, look at me. Look what I just did there. Yeah. I always say, right, when you realise the extent to which other people project, you just stop taking things personally after a while, because it's never ever about you. It's just everybody else, you know, rolling around in this great big clusterfuck of reactions to triggers and wounds and things like that. And you're like, oh, God, there's a lot of really damaged people out in the world. And so the things that used to set you off, they're doing so far, far less now. I mean, there's probably still a little bit of it there, and that's okay, because, you know, the work is never done. We're always about cycling deeper into the subtle and the intense, you know, and then coming back out again going, whew, right, I learned a new thing about myself. But it is happening, you know. for a Cancer, often, you know, when you feel under threat, when you feel under attack, you've got a couple of options. You can absolutely pull yourself into your shell, and just pretend to be a rock or something. And interestingly, grey rock for dealing with narcissists is a really useful method. If you've never come across it, I would advise it. I've used it to great effect. Well, the other thing you can do is make use of those snippy claws and just like snip at people. Now, neither of those are particularly ideal for the everyday, right? Or even the broader scope of your life. You're like knowing when to see, knowing that red flags are actually red flags and they are something that you need to pay attention to because you value yourself. And it doesn't matter how pretty those flags are, they mean danger. So you need to move away from them, you know, because you are taking care of yourself first. There are other ways to defend yourself than to attack, and I think that you're seeing that now. For some of you, you've probably got a bit of a nasty tongue on you when you feel cornered. Right? It's that kind of like last line of defense. But then you bitterly regret the thing that you said because you didn't actually really mean it. You were kind of striking out because you were so very fucking hurt, and the person that you were, you were trying to make them see how much you were hurting, and they just wouldn't get it. That isn't a thing about you. Right? That's the thing about them, and the chances are they probably knew exactly how much they'd hurt you, but they were doing their own defensive thing because their ego was like, I can't have been responsible for this because this will mean I'm a bad person, so I'm going to look to mitigate it, however. But the point is, all of that kind of aspect of your life really does feel like it's falling by the wayside. And we've got Justice and we've got the Nine of Pentacles. And I love this combination for you, Cancer. I love it so much because the Justice card is about justice. It's about fairness. It's about balance, and it's about equilibrium, right? It's a card of Cancer. It's a card of Libra, right? Everything being held in balance. And that isn't necessarily the world around you. That is more likely what is going on inside of you, right? It certainly sits very beautifully with this card when we're not feeling like everything and everyone is attacking us, like, being made a victim by everything all of the time, and feeling the frustration. And sometimes, Cancer, I just got a little whiff of it there, the rage that comes with it, Oh, yeah, there's quite a bit of that in there. I was feeling it in my stomach there. But everything's getting processed because you are bringing justice to yourself. You are bringing balance to yourself. You are bringing fairness to yourself, right? There's a big karmic lesson here that you are learning, and you've learned it in a really difficult way. You've learned it by experiencing things that you shouldn't have had to experience. Shit runs really, really deep. But what I love is we've got this Nine of Pentacles here, and the Nine of Pentacles is like the polar opposite of codependency. It is about self-sufficiency. It is about independence. It's about not only just paying your own bills and stuff like that, although that is, cool and good. It's about your resource management. It's where you put your time and your care and your effort, and knowing that it needs to go into you first, right? This is a huge lesson for you to learn. And with these cards coming out underneath the Five of Swords, I think you're seeing where these cards were upside down and this one was in the upright, right? And in the processing, in the observation, what's happening is you're turning them around like this, and that is fucking stellar, Cancer. It's absolutely brilliant. Because it will absolutely make you feel happy, It's one of the most underrated feelings. I think it's one that doesn't get talked about enough, is that knowing that you can look after yourself, not just financially, but that any situation that you put yourself into, you don't need to be terrified that you're going to fall into old patterns, and that you know, this thing that you really, really like, this relationship that you really, really like, this person, whether it's romantic or a friend or whatever, you know, you're gonna give, and it'll be all right for a bit, and then after a while they'll start to take the piss. You know, they'll take and take and take, and before you know it, you're exhausted and you don't fucking know why, and you're upset all the time. And it's because the balance of this relationship has been all over the fucking shop, and you didn't see it because there were flags all the way along the line, and you were like, that's a pretty flag, that's a pretty flag, oh look, red's my favourite colour. It's like you didn't put the two things together, and the thing that was missing in all of that was your own self-worth. It was your own value, and that was the thing that you were told that you didn't have, right? Not told overtly, although some of you may have been, but shown repeatedly by behaviours of people who should have known better. Being able to get to a place where you can take that power back into yourself and go, no, as a full sentence, just want to say, no. And then take yourself off and walk away and not pine, not feel like the world has ended, not feeling that stabbing pain in your heart that is so fucking hard you think you're going to die, you know, none of it. Just go, no, me first, it's all good, I'm off, I'm away. Now, in terms of what July has to hold for you, like I said, we have these old wounds, I feel, coming to the surface for you. Now, I don't feel a sense of too much pain associated with this. This feels actually quite intellectual. It feels like you noticing this big thing that's trying to burp its way out of you, right? And do you know, for some of you, it might actually come through as a bodily release. You know, you might find yourself kind of like, I know, burping a lot, farting a lot, something like that, right? Just the body often reflects what's going on in the soul, right? So you just find yourself just kind of releasing into the air, you know, in whatever direction it's coming out, right? Over and over again. Because something has shifted to the degree in you that it has dislodged something really quite huge, and it feels like it's coming up for you in the month of July. Now, I don't want you to be afraid of this, because I don't actually feel a sense of fear about it at all. I feel a sense of curiosity more than anything else. And then, you know, perhaps it's a little bit challenging. And my stomach started gurgling now. I hope the camera's not picking that up, but it's like, it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's stuff dislodging, stuff just moving, right? Getting ready to be released. It feels like intellectual curiosity about it, and it might be a little bit challenging at times, and you're a bit like, whoa, about the things that are coming up, you know? You might have a couple of moments where your mind feels like it's completely blown. But I feel you're getting over it really, really fast, because you see the point of it. Right? You understand that this needs to be released. It needs to come out. And I do think that by the end of July, you're going to be feeling a shitload better than you do at the start, because we've got this Three of Pentacles and the Sun. Now, whatever's coming to the surface for you this month, it's always going to involve other people, right? Now, like I said, I don't know if there's a catalyzing event here, or whether it is just things that you're putting together in your mind. To be honest, with the kind of work that you've been doing on yourself recently, it would not be at all a surprise to see this stuff just coming to you holistically while you're doing the washing up or something like that. You know, any kind of vaguely meditative state that you get yourself into. Like for me, it's kicking a bag often, or doing the washing up, or feeding the animals. Just that kind of robotic stuff that you don't even have to employ your brain to do, and your mind goes elsewhere immediately. My partner, he was talking about, he was putting down a floor yesterday, and he said it was really weird. I kind of hit this flow state and I didn't even think about what I was doing, and it was just done. And I was like, that's meditation right there, what you're doing. Like anything that like that puts you into a meditative state, and that's where often answers will come up for you, and it could be either or, but I'm kind of leaning towards that being the thing, right? And as it dislodges, and as you see it kind of rising, coming out, you're a bit like, oh God. But just breathe with it and go, okay, what are you? You know, what is this about? because it specifically relates to the way that you engage with other people, right? At Three of Pentacles, it's the teamwork, cooperation, collaboration card. Now, you're a team player, Cancer, but you've gone too far the other way, right? We know this. This is the thing, right? Your revelation, your revolution even, is in this here. It is in how you relate to other people. It's how you find a place where you can engage in every single relationship that you want to keep in your life in a healthy way. Okay? Really sterling, healthy way where they are coming to the table with something useful and you are coming to the table with something useful, and both of you take the not useful stuff and you kick it away because it's not useful, right? I'm a big fan of utility. Huge. This is consciousness here in this Leo card of the Sun, right? It's joy, it's positivity, it's 100 wonderful things, you know? It's the feeling of sunlight on your skin. It's those priceless moments that you can't really describe, but it touches your soul in some sort of way. But it is also consciousness. It is bringing into your consciousness the way that you relate to other people, your expectations of other people, and your expectations of their expectations of you. Right? And I think during the course of July, you're going to see that you've made this quite difficult for yourself historically. It's all about taking responsibility. But you've made it quite difficult because you didn't know how to do it any differently, right? Now, we know that there have been incredible changes for Cancer recently, like you've done some amazing work on yourself. And a lot of this stuff you're now quite familiar with, and it's okay, right? You get it and it's all right. But this feels like it's dislodging from somewhere really, really deep, Cancer. And like I said, it might blow your mind initially. But I feel you're getting over it really, really fast. And I actually feel a certain degree of excitement associated with it too. Because as you feel it clearing, you can feel the space that has been made. And where there is space, then the aces can come in and they can start doing their work. And it feels like a change of direction for you. Not necessarily in anything outside of you at all, but a change of direction in this and what this means to you. And you will find in time that it will be 100 times more fulfilling than any other relationship that you've ever had when it was conducted under old circumstances. Because you are bringing yourself to the table now, Cancer, fully, properly, healthily. Finding the validation within yourself, feeling the love for yourself, feeling the joy of being in the present moment without it being clouded with overthinking and worry and concern that maybe you're not doing enough, you know, to be able to get this person to reciprocate in any kind of way. This is a total transformation. And these three cards tell me that. I mean, actually all of the cards tell me that, but these three specifically are where you are headed, Cancer, and I could not be happier about this for you. Right? Free of the shackles and the yokes of your early experiences properly. Right? All the work that you have done up until now has got you to the place where you can really get that pickaxe into the ground and you can pull up whatever sarcophagus your fucking subconscious has buried that contains the roots of what has ailed you for such a long time. I love this for you, Cancer. I can't even tell you. So if this reading has resonated with you, I'm going over to Vimeo now to pull this apart a little bit more and have a look at see what's going on in July specifically. So you're welcome to join me over there if you would like. If not, that's not a problem either. Thank you for joining me here for as long as you have. Yeah. It's a big month for you inside, Cancer, and it doesn't really feel like too much of a coincidence that it's happening now in Cancer season either, to be honest. It's a beautiful use of the energy. So, know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.